Right now, while you are watching this, your brain is doing something remarkable. It is trying to clean itself. Every night while you sleep, a system deep inside your brain activates, a microscopic network of channels that flushes out the toxic waste your neurons produce during the day. Scientists call it the glymphatic system. I think of it as your brain's night shift cleaning crew. They show up after midnight, move through every corridor, and sweep out the debris before morning. But here is what nobody is telling you. After the age of 60, that cleaning crew starts showing up late. They work slower. They leave things behind. And one of the most dangerous things they leave behind is amyloid, a sticky, abnormal protein that clumps together between your brain cells and slowly disrupts the way those cells talk to each other. This is not a future risk. For most people over 60, this process is already happening. Right now, while you eat breakfast, while you watch this video. What makes this personal for me, as a neurologist, is that the drinks most of my patients reach for every single morning are either doing nothing to support this system or they are actively making it worse. So today I am ranking 10 common morning drinks from worst to first. We are going to look at what each one does inside your brain, why timing and preparation matter more than most people realize, and which drink, one that is probably already in your kitchen, actually gives your brain's cleaning system the specific support it needs to do its job. Stay with me through this entire list, because the number one drink is not what anyone expects, and the way you use it changes everything. Let's start at the bottom, the drinks that are doing real damage while wearing a health disguise. Number 10 is store-bought fruit juice. I know, it feels healthy, it has vitamins on the label. But here is what happens inside your body within 30 minutes of drinking a glass of commercial orange juice or apple juice on an empty stomach. Your blood sugar spikes, fast, and that spike triggers a wave of systemic inflammation, your body's emergency response to a sudden sugar flood. Now here is why that matters for your brain specifically. The glymphatic system depends on your cerebral blood vessels pulsing gently and rhythmically to push cerebrospinal fluid through the brain's channels. Think of it like a slow, steady current in a river. That current is what carries the waste downstream. When your blood vessels become inflamed from a sudden sugar spike, they stiffen. They stop pulsing the way they should. And whatever your brain was trying to clear overnight sits there instead. One glass of fruit juice does not cause dementia, but making it your morning ritual means you are starting every single day by impairing the very system your brain needs to clean itself. If you are diabetic or pre-diabetic, the risk here is amplified. Blood sugar response in that population is sharper, the inflammatory cascade is stronger, and the impact on vascular function is more pronounced. This is one to remove from your morning routine immediately. Number 9 is vitamin water and enhanced water drinks. These are cleverly marketed. They suggest brain support, immune function, energy, and I understand why people reach for them. They seem like an easy upgrade from plain water. But the synthetic vitamins in these products have very poor bioavailability. Your body absorbs very little of what is listed on that label, and even less of it reaches the brain itself. Worse, many of these drinks contain artificial sweeteners, and we are learning more every year about how those sweeteners disrupt the gut-brain axis, the communication highway between your digestive system and your central nervous system. Disrupting that connection is not something you want to do first thing in the morning when your brain is still finishing its overnight cleaning cycle. Both of these drinks come off the morning menu, full stop. What comes next on this list is trickier because the drinks in the next category are ones most people feel good about. And that confidence is part of the problem. Now here is where it gets more nuanced. Because the next two drinks are genuinely healthy. The problem is not what they are. It is how and when most people use them. Number 8 is regular coffee taken first thing in the morning. Coffee itself is not the enemy. The research on coffee and long-term brain health is actually quite positive. But the timing of that first cup is where most people make a costly mistake. In the first 30 to 60 minutes after you wake up, your body is already producing a natural surge of cortisol, a hormone that drives alertness and focus. Your brain does not need caffeine during that window. It is already doing the work. When you add caffeine on top of that cortisol peak, you blunt your body's own alertness signal and, critically, you cause a transient constriction of the cerebral blood vessels. Constricted vessels mean reduced glymphatic flow right at the moment your brain is trying to finish its overnight cleaning cycle. The simple fix is this. Delay your coffee by 90 minutes after waking. That one change preserves the morning vasodilation window your glymphatic system depends on to complete its work. Number 7 is green tea prepared the standard way. Green tea contains catechins, antioxidant compounds that support vascular function and have genuine neuroprotective value. I recommend green tea to patients regularly, but as a primary morning brain drink aimed at amyloid clearance, it falls short in two important ways. First, most people brew it wrong. Boiling water destroys a significant portion of the beneficial catechins before they ever reach your cup. The water temperature should be no higher than 170 degrees Fahrenheit, steeped for no more than 3 minutes. Second, green tea contains enough caffeine to create the same early morning vessel constriction problem as coffee. Consumed within the first hour of waking, it works against the very clearance process you are trying to support. Green tea belongs in your day, just not in that first critical window. Wait at least 60 to 90 minutes after waking, brew it at the right temperature, and it becomes a genuinely useful tool, just not the most powerful one on this list. From here, the drinks start doing something measurably different inside the brain. But how much they actually deliver depends almost entirely on how you prepare them. Number 6 is turmeric latte, what most people call golden milk. Curcumin, the active compound in turmeric, has shown real promise in reducing neuroinflammation and may interfere with the process by which amyloid proteins clump together in the brain. That is genuinely exciting science. But there is a problem that most people never hear about, and it is the reason this drink lands at number 6 instead of higher. Curcumin is almost impossible for your body to absorb on its own. Studies suggest that without the right companions, the vast majority of it passes straight through your digestive system before it ever has a chance to reach your brain. Here is what actually works. 1 teaspoon of turmeric powder, a generous pinch of black pepper, blended into warm whole milk or coconut milk. The fat in the milk carries curcumin across the blood-brain barrier. The black pepper, specifically a compound in it called piperine, increases absorption dramatically. These are not optional additions. They are the mechanism. Without them, you are essentially drinking warm, yellow water. One safety note here. Curcumin has mild blood-thinning properties. If you are on warfarin, aspirin therapy, or any anticoagulant medication, speak with your doctor before making this a daily habit. There is a drink higher on this list where this same concern becomes significantly more serious. So keep that in mind as we go. And I want to flag something else. Not about turmeric specifically, But about a preparation mistake I see repeatedly with the drinks higher on this list. It is small, easy to overlook, and it quietly cancels out most of the benefit. I will point it out clearly when we get there. Number 5 is a blueberry smoothie. Blueberries contain a class of compounds called anthocyanins, and these are among the most well-studied neuroprotective nutrients available in food. They reduce oxidative stress in neurons. They help maintain the integrity of the blood-brain barrier, that selective gateway I mentioned earlier. And regular consumption has been linked in multiple studies to slower rates of cognitive decline. Think of blueberries as the protective shield. They guard your neurons from further damage and help slow the accumulation of new waste. But they do not flush what is already there. The drinks that actually activate that clearance mechanism work through a completely different pathway, and the timing of when you consume them turns out to be just as important as what is in them, something most people never consider. For preparation, 1 cup of frozen wild blueberries. Wild varieties contain higher anthocyanin concentrations than cultivated ones, blended with unsweetened almond milk and a tablespoon of ground flaxseed. The omega-3 fatty acids in flaxseed add a layer of anti-inflammatory support that complements what the blueberries are already doing. So we have protection. What we have not touched yet is repair, and the next drink works on a completely different part of the problem. Number 4 is lion's mane mushroom tea. Lion's mane contains 2 families of compounds, hericenones and erinacines, that stimulate something called nerve growth factor. Think of nerve growth factor as a repair signal your brain sends out when connections have been damaged. It encourages neurons to grow new pathways and rebuild the synaptic bridges that amyloid plaque disrupts. So lion's mane is the repair crew. It comes in after the damage and starts rebuilding. That is genuinely valuable. But the cleaning still needs to happen first. Lion's mane tea bags are available at most health food stores. For a meaningful effect, look for a dual extract product, both water and alcohol extracted. Steep for 5 to 7 minutes. The taste is mild, slightly savory, and easy to drink. But here is the honest gap in everything we have covered so far. Protection, repair, anti-inflammation, these all matter. None of them, though, physically activate the clearance mechanism itself. The top 3 drinks do. And they do it in ways that are distinct enough from each other that the order genuinely matters. Number 3 sounds almost too simple, and that is exactly why most people dismiss it. Warm water with lemon and a pinch of Himalayan salt. I know what you are thinking. That is it. But stay with me, because the biology here is specific, and it directly addresses something that happens to every single person over 60, every single morning, without exception. After 7 or 8 hours of sleep, your brain is mildly dehydrated. Not dangerously so, but enough to matter. Here is why. The glymphatic system moves cerebrospinal fluid, a clear liquid that bathes your brain and spinal cord, through a network of tiny channels to collect and carry waste out. That fluid movement depends on 2 things: adequate hydration and something called osmotic balance. Think of osmotic balance like the pressure inside a garden hose. When the pressure is right, water flows smoothly from one end to the other. When it drops, the flow weakens. Overnight dehydration reduces cerebrospinal fluid volume. The pressure drops. The cleaning cycle slows right at the moment it should be finishing its final sweep. The warm water restores that volume. The lemon adds a small but meaningful dose of vitamin C and potassium, which support the tone and flexibility of your blood vessel walls. The citric acid also gently stimulates liver function. Important because the liver processes many of the waste products that the glymphatic system collects and hands off. The pinch of salt is doing something specific. Mineral-rich salt replaces electrolytes lost during sleep and helps your body actually absorb and hold the water rather than passing it straight through. This is the osmotic pressure piece. It physically helps move fluid into the perivascular spaces, the corridors around your blood vessels, where glymphatic clearance happens. Preparation is simple. 12 ounces of warm water, not boiling, just comfortably warm. The juice of half a fresh lemon. A small pinch of Himalayan or Celtic sea salt. Drink this within 10 minutes of waking, before anything else touches your lips. Safety note: if you have kidney disease or a personal history of kidney stones, particularly calcium oxalate stones, speak with your doctor before adding daily lemon water with mineral salt. And if you are managing hypertension, be mindful of the added sodium, even in small amounts. What comes next is where the science shifts, from supporting the brain's environment to directly driving the mechanism that clears amyloid out of it. Number 2. High flavanol cocoa. This is where the research genuinely surprised me the first time I reviewed it. Cocoa flavanols, specifically a compound called epicatechin, trigger the release of nitric oxide inside the cells lining your cerebral blood vessels. Nitric oxide causes those vessels to relax and widen. Wider vessels pulse more powerfully, and it is that rhythmic arterial pulse that physically drives cerebrospinal fluid through the glymphatic channels where amyloid and tau are collected and cleared. This is not a vague antioxidant benefit. It is a specific mechanical trigger. Wider vessels pulse more powerfully, and it is that rhythmic arterial pulse that physically drives cerebrospinal fluid through the glymphatic channels where waste is collected and cleared. Studies using between 500 and 900 milligrams of cocoa flavanols daily have shown measurable improvements in blood flow to the hippocampus, the brain's memory center, within weeks. The key is preparation. This must be pure, unsweetened, natural or raw cocoa powder, not Dutch processed, not hot chocolate mix. Dutch processing strips the flavanols almost entirely. Use 20 to 25 grams, about 2 heaping tablespoons, in 10 to 12 ounces of warm water or unsweetened plant milk. A small amount of stevia or monk fruit sweetener is fine. Drink it 90 minutes after waking, not first thing. Remember, that early window belongs to the lemon water. We will come back to why the sequence matters in a moment. One more safety note before we move on. Cocoa contains a small amount of caffeine, which is exactly why we hold it until that 90-minute mark. It also has mild blood-thinning properties. If you are on anticoagulant medication, check with your doctor. And if you are diabetic, monitor your blood sugar when introducing any new morning drink, including this one. Cocoa strengthens the channel. The drink ranked number 1 is what actually turns on the current inside it. Beetroot juice. I want to be calm and direct about this because this drink sometimes gets dismissed as a trend. It is not. The biology behind it is specific, well documented, and directly relevant to what we have been talking about this entire video. Beets are the single richest dietary source of inorganic nitrates in a drinkable form. When you drink pure beetroot juice, those nitrates travel a very specific pathway. Bacteria living on your tongue convert them into nitrites. Then your stomach acid converts those nitrites into nitric oxide. the same molecule that the cocoa flavonols were triggering indirectly. But beetroot juice produces it through a completely different and highly efficient route. Here is what that nitric oxide does inside your brain. The arteries supplying your cerebral circulation dilate, they widen, and crucially, they begin to pulse with greater force and regularity. Think of the glymphatic system like a slow-moving river. It needs a current to carry waste downstream. Nitric oxide from beetroot juice is what creates and strengthens that current. And unlike the cocoa flavonols, which work through the vessel walls themselves, beetroot juice produces nitric oxide through a completely different route. Bacteria on your tongue, then your stomach acid, converting nitrates into the molecule your brain actually needs. Two separate pathways arriving at the same destination, which is exactly why, used together, they work better than either one alone. A Wake Forest study found that older adults consuming a high nitrate diet that included beetroot juice showed increased blood flow specifically to the frontal lobe white matter, the region most vulnerable to age-related decline and one of the first areas affected in early cognitive impairment. That is not a general wellness finding. That is a targeted, regionally specific effect in the aging brain. Now, timing matters here more than with any other drink on this list. The glymphatic system does the majority of its waste clearance work during sleep. As you wake, that process begins winding down. Consuming beetroot juice within 30 to 45 minutes of waking, before your morning cortisol surge fully peaks, catches the tail end of that clearance window and gives the system one final, significant push. It is like opening the drain just before the cleaning crew finishes their shift. Preparation is straightforward. 8 ounces of pure pressed beetroot juice, not a blend, not a cocktail, just beets. Drink it on an empty stomach. Wait at least 30 minutes before eating. And do not use antibacterial mouthwash before drinking it. The bacteria on your tongue that convert nitrates into nitrites are essential to the whole process. Mouthwash kills them and destroys the conversion pathway before it even starts. If bottled juice is not accessible or feels expensive at $6 to $8 per bottle, there are practical alternatives. 3 to 4 medium beets run through a home juicer produces approximately 8 ounces. Beetroot powder is another option. 1 tablespoon dissolved in 8 ounces of water delivers a comparable nitrate dose and is significantly more affordable over time. Safety is important here. Beetroot juice is high in oxalates. Anyone with a history of kidney stones, particularly calcium oxalate stones, should consult their doctor before using this daily. It can lower blood pressure meaningfully, so if you are already on antihypertensive medication, monitor carefully and speak with your physician. If your urine turns pink in the days after starting, do not be alarmed. This is harmless. It is called beturia, and it affects roughly 10 to 15% of people. And for diabetics, beets carry a moderate glycemic index, so track your blood sugar response when introducing it. Here is the sequence. Start this tomorrow. Within 10 minutes of waking, drink 12 ounces of warm lemon water with a pinch of Himalayan salt. This rehydrates the brain, restores cerebrospinal fluid volume, and prepares the osmotic conditions the glymphatic system needs to complete its final sweep. 30 to 45 minutes after waking, drink 8 ounces of pure beetroot juice on an empty stomach. This delivers nitric oxide directly into your cerebral circulation, amplifying the arterial pulse that drives glymphatic flow. Wait 30 minutes before eating anything. Then at 90 minutes after waking, introduce your high flavanol cocoa drink. This sustains cerebral blood flow and vascular tone through the rest of the morning, extending the window of support well past the initial clearance phase. None of these is a cure. I want to be honest with you about that. No drink reverses established Alzheimer's disease. But the glymphatic system is real. The research on vascular support and amyloid clearance is genuine and growing. And these drinks give your brain the conditions it needs to do the work it is already designed to do. Now here is the part I need you to hear before you close this video. Everything you do in the morning only matters as much as what happens that night. Because your glymphatic system does not clear amyloid during the day, it does it while you sleep. And the position your body is in while you sleep, specifically the angle of your head, the compression on your neck, the way blood moves through your cerebral arteries during those hours, directly determines how well that clearance actually works. There are sleeping positions that quietly restrict cerebral blood flow for hours at a time. Hours, while you are completely unaware. And if you are unknowingly sleeping in one of them, it can work against every single thing you just learned in this video. I have a video ready for you right now on exactly this. It is about the 4 sleeping positions that raise stroke risk in people over 60, and the better alternatives that protect brain circulation through the night. You can see it on your screen right now. If you are serious about protecting your brain, the morning routine is only half the equation. The other half is waiting for you in that video. Click it now, because what you do tonight either locks in your progress or quietly undermines it.